This video has gone viral over the weekend. It's a shortened clip from an online dating show which appears to be a foreign spinoff of the popular YouTube show Pop the Balloon or Find Love. Unfortunately, the original clip is not in English, but you don't really need words to see what's going on here.
See, my head.
Oh! So for those on audio / those unfamiliar with this show and how it typically runs, basically you have a contestant who's looking for love. The contestant can be male or female. They are then presented with a group of potential partners, typically all male or female. And basically once they walk on set, the people holding the balloons have the opportunity to pop them at any point as they are talking about themselves. And that indicates that they are no longer interested in being considered for a date with that contestant. The main character then gets to interview people who pop their balloons and find out what turned them off. And ultimately, they are also able to reject people that they are not interested in. And the intention is it, whittles itself down till the contestant is left with one other option and they then go on a date. Now, this show is often seen as somewhat tacky, to be quite generous, and clips from it frequently go viral, at least the American version. And I will say this is by no means the first time that the internet has had quite a lot to say about one of the contestants on it. But while the show is often considered trashy, the way that this guy conducts himself in the clip, running up and immediately aggressively popping the balloon of one of the other contestants who appears to be a trans woman, is especially out of pocket. In reaction to this guy, a lot of men have been reacting very favorably to this clip and saying that his actions were based. Here's one example from Twitter. The man is based, with lots of fire emojis. Other men have been saying that the reactions of the women, who then mostly all popped their balloons in response to his behavior, shows that women have an inclination towards virtue signaling and conformism. Here's one example from Twitter that says, "This video does, however, show the mass herd mentality. One gets brainworms, almost all the rest follow. No logic, no reason, just reaction to follow the herd. Now look at the rest of society and discern wisely." But women, as you might have predicted, feel quite differently about this clip, and it's for reasons very different than those that are being assumed by the majority of men. In fact, I would say very few of them are upset that a man may not want to date a trans woman, nor are they concerned with being perceived as mean or outside the in-group. What women are actually saying en masse about this video should be of the utmost interest to men who claim to be in a loneliness epidemic or who wish to find a female partner. But for some reason, it seems their words are going completely unheeded by those who could benefit from them most. First, I'm Hannah Cox with Base Politics. Welcome to my channel where I bring you my politically homeless takes on politics and culture. Before we dive in today, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and of course, ring that notification bell so you never miss one of my episodes. If I could summarize today's video, I think it would be in saying this: men are not very good at analyzing people. This is just a fact. Come at me all you want. I have never met a man who can understand human motivations with the same basic intuitiveness as your rank and file woman. And I know this to be true with every single fiber of my being. It is one of my biggest frustrations, in fact, when men refuse to acknowledge this, particularly in dating. Like, it annoys me, period, but oh my gosh, the number of times in dating relationships where I have had men refuse to listen to things that I know to be true and then have to pay the price because they would not listen to me. I even told my husband that on our first date. I was like, I don't remember how it came up, but I think he asked me like what was a huge turnoff to me or what was something like I didn't like in my former relationships. And I just told him it was one of my biggest pet peeves when men refuse to listen to women, because women do have an intuition that men simply lack. We know many things that are not tangible. We perceive at much greater depths than men typically can. And yet men, hand over fist, refuse to listen to women the majority of the time. And then they will pay the price. They will have the things that we predicted happen to them. They will suffer the repercussions, and then they'll come back and be like, you were right. Ugh. Time after time after time. My husband had to learn this the hard way. He listened to me say that on our first date. And then within a couple months, there were things in his life where I was like, this person's moving kind of funny. You should watch out for this. XYZ. Didn't listen, had to pay the price. And now he has to admit that, like, I'm pretty much always right. He hates it. He doesn't like it. But he has learned over time that when I am telling him something, it's not coming from nowhere. And he probably would be better off to just go ahead and listen to me. I think probably every single woman who hears this video will agree with me in the comments and has had this happen to them. And it's not frustrating because we're just like, I must be right. You must listen to me. It's like, no, we know things. We're trying to help you. We are trying to provide you with insights that you lack. And the hard-headedness, the refusal to like accept that and to have some humility and be willing to listen to that and understand that maybe there are things out there that are not able to be touched or seen, but that are nevertheless true. It could save you a lot of grief, okay? But listen, I know that if you're a man listening to this, you're not going to listen to what I'm saying by nature of the fact of everything I just explained. So I decided to go ahead and see if the research backs up my inherent bias. And you know what? Yes, it does. I love to go ask ChatGPT if I'm just like being an idiot or something, and it will tell me when I am. But I posed the question to ChatGPT, is there research backing up the fact that women are more analytical and have a far greater understanding of the why behind what makes other people tick than men? And Chat said, yes. Research suggests that women tend to excel in social cognition, empathy, and understanding the motivations of others, which can translate into a greater understanding of the why behind human behavior. These abilities are often associated with higher levels of emotional intelligence and social reasoning. Below are some research-backed points relevant to your question. Number 1, empathy and social cognition. They say studies using tasks like the reading the mind and the eyes test, which measures the ability to infer emotions and mental states from facial expressions, consistently show that women outperform men on average. This suggests that women are better at interpreting subtle social cues and understanding others' perspectives. Women are often more skilled at understanding context and interpersonal interactions, which may enhance their ability to comprehend the underlying reasons for others' behaviors. Man, I love when research backs up my lived experience. And that's not all. They go on to say emotional intelligence is another category where research in emotional intelligence shows that women score higher on average in areas like emotional awareness and interpersonal relationships. Emotional intelligence includes the ability to identify, understand, and manage emotions in oneself and others, key components of analyzing why people behave the way they do. Thirdly, theory of mind refers to the ability to attribute mental states, beliefs, intents, desires, and knowledge to oneself and others. Research shows women often develop theory of mind earlier than men, which may give them an advantage in understanding the motivations and intentions of others. Fourth, you have neuroscientific evidence. Brain imaging studies have found that women tend to have more robust connections between the left and right hemisphere of the brain, which may enhance their ability to integrate emotional and analytical information. This integration can contribute to a deeper understanding of why people act as they do. And lastly, you have cultural and evolutionary factors. Evolutionary psychology suggests that women's roles in caregiving and community building may have fostered stronger abilities in understanding and navigating complex social dynamics. And culturally, women are often socialized to be more tuned to relationships and emotional nuances, reinforcing these skills. Now, they do go on to make an important caveat, which is not all women, not all men, no shit. But like, yes, as a whole, women excel in this field. So when men come on the internet in response to this clip and they're like, women did this for this reason, and it's just flat out wrong, it makes me laugh because it not only shows a deep misunderstanding of the motivations of others, it not only shows that you don't have very close relationships with women in order to have garnered a better understanding of their motivations, it also shows that you are completely uncurious about the lived experiences and beliefs and thought patterns of the gender that a lot of you are supposedly attracted to and want to be in relationship with. Women spend a whole lot of time trying to understand men. I mean, a whole lot of time that we probably should not spend. We also are way more apt to read the thoughts of men, to read male authors, to follow men who are thought leaders in society. That doesn't tend to go in the other direction from men either. And women are also far more likely to read literature, which has been proven to help people develop a better understanding of the experiences of others and the mentalities of others, and also a greater ability to develop empathy for those experiences. So no, the vast majority of the women who popped their balloons in this dating show, there were only 2 that did not in response to his actions were not doing so because they were just like trying so hard to be allies for trans women, or because they were just outraged that a man would not want to date somebody who used to be a man. And they weren't doing it because they were afraid of the other women on that set looking down on them if they didn't do it. Those were all the takes of men online about this scene. And really, the real motivations, what was actually going on here, just whoop, went right over their heads. So as your resident woman analyst, allow me to womansplain what is actually going on here for you. I posted this response on Twitter, which has now gained over 6 million views, and I think something like 150,000 people have liked it. So my verifiables here are that a lot of women agree with me. I said, I have no problem with men or women not being open to dating people of a particular gender. And I'll pause there because I want to emphasize this. I don't, right? I cannot stand this push from the very far left when it comes to trans issues that anybody who doesn't want to date somebody who's trans is a bigot. That is false. That is sexist. That is bigoted in and of itself. Nobody is owed attraction. Period. Full stop. End of story. You don't respect individual rights if you are trying to push that BS. You don't respect the gay community or the lesbian community if you were trying to push that. Like, just stop. There's absolutely nothing wrong with not wanting to date somebody of a certain gender. But I continued that I do have a huge issue with people who can't treat others with respect and dignity. Good men would have politely passed without acting like a child in this scenario. The women are popping their balloons because no one wants to be with an immature, emotionally unregulated man-child who will embarrass you on the reg. Good men are regulated. They are in control of their emotions, and they most importantly treat everyone with respect and dignity so long as they are not posing a threat to them or others. Good men are restrained, and women have evolved quite naturally to be very wary of unregulated emotional men because they are dangerous. And I'm by no means the only woman saying this to men online, spelling it out for them. Women have been in the comments trying to make this point over and over and over. This woman said, instead of just saying, not my type, he had to get weirdly violent instead. Gross. Another woman said, the type of guy that cries about nobody wanting to date him. So true. This woman said this, it is absolutely normal and fine to have dating preferences. It's not absolutely fine to be needlessly rude or cruel to someone. Like, that's it. It's not that deep. Women don't want to date assholes, despite what men try to say. Oh, women like the bad guy. Women always go for the jerks. No, they don't. Women go for men who love bomb them, who pretend to be really good guys, and who trick them into falling for them and into partnerships with them before revealing their true natures. And then they get trauma bonded to them, and then they find it hard to escape bad men. Women don't like bad men. But what I think is even wilder, aside from the complete lack of understanding for what motivates women and what women want and what women are saying in these kinds of scenarios, is how much the men do not care. Like, they are far more concerned with impressing other men in the comments than they are with what women are attracted to or want. And I just think it's very weird to observe for people who claim to be straight and to want to date women. I love this person on Twitter put up the meme of the one guy standing up by himself in the crowd and said, the male loneliness epidemic thrives partly because straight men are more concerned with impressing other men than being perceived as a good partner by the women they're supposedly attracted to. Another person said, man violently pops the trans woman's balloon. Other women pop their balloon, showing that a large majority don't like that behavior. Men in reply section celebrate the man and his obviously hated action. Men wonder why there's a male loneliness epidemic. Complete idiots. Ari Drennan responded to me, and she is a trans woman, and she said, it's just dumb because we all know that men do this stuff to impress each other, not to impress any kind of woman. And it's so true, okay? Help me understand this. Hold my hand, walk me through it like I'm 5 years old. These men are very violently upset at the very thought of being presented with a trans woman as an option to date, okay? Nobody was gonna make this guy go on a date with her. He always had the option to say no. But her being merely present as an option enrages them. They think it's disrespectful. They have said all throughout the comments that, like, this was disrespectful to bring him on the show and do this. Like, this was something that was meant to humiliate him. Like, just the very thought that maybe he could be attracted to a trans woman, to a person who used to be a man, is so close to being gay to them that they are like, up in arms, okay? Because they are definitely not gay. They are very, very straight. And yet, the only people whose opinions they seem to care about when discussing this are the opinions of other men. It's not giving heterosexual to me. Like, if you are actually straight and if you really do want to date women and you like women and that is who you want to attract to you as a partner, and they are telling you, the majority of them are telling you, we don't like a certain behavior, but you're like, nah, these guys think it's really cool. Like, I can't follow. And despite so many women like explaining this thoroughly online to men, they just keep missing the mark. Here's another guy in the comments. He goes, look at how the women react. A man doesn't want to be with another man and that pisses them off. I'll never understand these people. And in response, another person said, as a woman, I will never understand why some women choose to protect men who are playing dress up over protecting other women. I can help. They aren't. That has nothing to do with why the women were turned off in this clip. Had this guy played the game by its rules and actually got to talk to this individual and had discovered that she was trans throughout the context of their conversation and simply said, you know what, that's not my dating preference, and she popped her balloon of her own volition and then left the set, nobody would have had anything to say here. It is because he intentionally singled her out, tried to embarrass her, did so in a very aggressive way, and showed that he doesn't have basic respect for others, that all the other women were turned off. Now, there were 2 women who didn't pop their balloon. I tried to go back and watch the actual episode for myself, but like I said, I can't. It's another language. I saw other people online saying that both of those 2 women ultimately popped their balloons and weren't interested in him either. They just wanted to explain before they did it, but I can't vouch for that. So if you speak Dutch, I'm pretty sure that's what it's in. I put the link in the show notes. Let me know what they say to him. But as this person pointed out on Twitter, there's no indication from the clip itself that the guy even knew for sure the individual was trans. It would be the same as aggressively popping the balloons of anyone in line that you found instantly unattractive. And like, yes, exactly. It has nothing to do with the fact that this is a trans woman. It is that you are being mean and cruel for absolutely no reason. I think there is such a benefit in these kinds of shows, even though they are trashy, because they have a lot to say about society, about the culture, about male and female relationships, the experiences people are having in the dating scene in real life. Like, this is a real-time sociological experiment. I will never understand people who act like they're too highbrow, too high and mighty for dating shows like this. Like, this stuff is fascinating. And I think that it should be especially fascinating for people who are obsessed with things like the birth rate, right? I'm not. I don't think there's any problem with the birth rate decreasing. Like, I could do a whole episode on that. I probably will soon. But if you are one of these people who is obsessed with that, Elon Musk, or if you're one of these people that's harping on all day about women needing to marry younger or prioritize marriage or be dependent on a man, sign up to be his maid and his mother, then like, you above all people should care about this, because this behavior, this kind of character, is a lot of what women are encountering in the dating market. It is the cause and effect for why we are increasingly where we're at, where people are foregoing marriage, they aren't having kids, the birth rate's declining, the nuclear family is declining. It comes back to this as a root cause problem. And honestly, the women are smart to swipe on men quickly after one red flag like this versus wasting more of their time or putting themselves in danger. Like, women have a lot more to lose in the dating and marriage market than men do. There is just simply so much more risk involved for them on every single front. So yes, evolutionary psychology would dictate that they would not only immediately perceive these kinds of actions as problematic and as indicative of someone with a failed character that they should not be putting all their eggs in a basket with, and keep it moving. For years, y'all have told women who were abused, who were cheated on, who were left as single moms with no careers, or who were married to deadbeats to just choose better. Well, they are. And now men are mad about that. And society is claiming we have a male loneliness epidemic. A male loneliness epidemic, I must point out, which carries the not so subtle threat of violence, which I think says a lot about the state of where men are in society, right? Like, men are lonely. They can't get partners. This is bad for society because lonely, disaffected men often become violent. Like, can we go back to that part real fast? A lot of men, and I made a whole episode talking about this, are lonely because of their own actions. And if you actually listen to women, that is what they're complaining about. Not their height, not their lack of abs. It's the lack of character that is so present in the dating market. It's the men who act like this guy and all of his simp supporters online who are cheering on his actions that keep ending up alone and then blaming everybody but themselves for it. And then when women try to give them the recipe to course correct, they completely ignore it and instead keep listening for the cheers and support from other lonely, disaffected men. You can't claim to be the more logical gender and think any of this makes sense. All right, guys, I hope you liked this episode. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to this channel if you have not already, and if you want even more content, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok.